am. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Where there's people, there is power. Justice in our time.
Good evening, everyone. First panel meeting since the beginning of February. Today we're going to be discussing about the documentary on Netflix, Inside the Manosphere by Charlie Theroux, and the mama's drama controversy over women dying at the hands of men. It's a femisphere thing, that is, with the topics that they're discussing, discrediting, besmirching men, and obviously Louis Theroux, knowing group preference, insulting men as well, getting the worst vestiges of male activists and male businessmen to show on a case online because it fits the political narrative of violence against women and girls. So today I've got our specialist panelists with loads of experience. My cousin Jason, my right-hand man Kingsley, and my fellow director and godmother, Cynthia Rodney. We're going to decide and set the world to rights over this absolute foolishness and discrediting of the gender particulars and argumentation when we shouldn't be warring like this is the most important relationship on the planet, men and women. So, godmother, you said you just finished watching it, isn't it? So what did you think? What did you think of it? You think it was rubbish? You think it's merited what they're saying?
I think it's very sad that there are people in the world being able to share with so many people on a platform about complete and utter rubbish. And the most worrying thing is they've said that it's teenagers are the biggest audience. That's scary. Because what then happens to my little cousins? What happens to my grandson? Because what you've got, and this is what I was saying to you yesterday, Sean, is me as a grandmother, as an auntie, as an elder in the family against millions on social media. It's me against them. So if I'm delivering a message and against them who have got millions as their audience commenting, there's more of them than me. So it's almost a greater battle for me to grow and nurture my loved ones in the right and proper way. I'm fighting what I don't want to say appears to be could potentially be a losing battle, because because of the platform, they've been allowed to be more powerful than me. It's scary. And it's very disappointing.
It's true.
I mean, I can't remember the guy's name. Began with S, the guy in New York. He'd been taken off of all of social media platforms. He's become a Muslim and he's now back on YouTube.
Sneeko.
Yeah.
Sneeko, yeah. He's been put back on YouTube now. And within 24 hours, he had millions of subscribers.
But why are the others not being removed from all of the social media platforms? Because they're making somebody money.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. He's got a machine behind him. That one there. Yeah, so that's why they embed themselves in certain communities, because then if you revert, Islam will support you. Because Andrew Tate reverted to Islam as well, and I've noticed a few of them have done that. And then if you're supporting the Zionists,
back in the day, people went to prison and they came out Muslim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was about to mention that, friend. I was about to mention that. It's true.
It's a thing.
It's like Tommy Robinson being sponsored by the IDF or the Zionists. So I've seen people like that. Once you're in those kind of groups and kind of cliques and communities, especially handshake crew, you seem to be insulated from a lot of things that would disrupt or cancel lesser people. So that's what they do. They kind of pump out and repeat the rhetoric like parrots of, like, the powers that be, or the organizations that has huge support worldwide, or specific ethnic groups, or religious or community groups, private members groups, and all of a sudden it's like they will say, we'll shield you, we'll make sure that you're basically invincible. And if you get cancelled, it'll only be, temporary, and we'll restore you. And we'll restore you back bigger than what you were before. They use the
The other,
controversy as jet fuel to propel them. Mm.
the other thing I took away from that is Louis Theroux started to sort of touch on the individual's upbringings.
Yeah.
And there was a pattern that I think he was trying, or a narrative that he was trying to push or give food for thought on. And that was, there were single parent households, there was women only, there was violence, and there was it's my way or the highway.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that is an issue. And
Hiya.
hi,
No,
Oh,
you
this is
okay?
Samir Goddy. This is one of the original female panelists from when we started.
hi, my dear.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And from that, it was like he was trying to say that they're now rebelling against what they saw when they were children.
Mm.
And there could be some truth behind it, but here's my thing. It's too severe for it to be that or just that. There's got to be more to it.
Yeah, of
That
course.
level of ignorance.
Mm. And to be
And
fair, Louis Theroux is behind the curve, because I was aware of this Manosphere, incel, red pill, black pill culture from like 2020, from lockdown, where
the
they had the
first I heard
explosion of the male-centric podcasts. So I don't know why he's taking so many, but I'm guessing it ties in with the political narrative at the moment, with women's aid, violence against women and girls.
when was it filmed? Because it didn't seem as though it was filmed very recently.
I'm not sure.
Because
I'm
I can't
guessing it
remember.
was sometime last year. I'm guessing sometime
And
last
I
year.
think it may have been very early last year, almost around January time.
Probably. It's because the HS Tiki Toki has been arrested then, isn't it, and released. It makes sense though. A lot of them documentaries are never in real time.
No.
They've got to
Yeah.
let the controversy and they settle first before they start speaking on it. But yeah, he's behind the curve. He's like when we used to get critique about the wokeism, and all of a sudden they said, no, we stopped saying that from Get Out in 2017? But the mainstream British public are constantly saying anything that is left wing or liberal or socialist space is as woke. And that's what I said. By doing that, you're allowing, obviously, the red pilled crowd to rise, because a lot of them are based in right wing ideology. And they said you're killing them for it, but then you're creating the circumstances for these kind of, miscreants to come out and say these things. And people that are pushed to the fringes and not given a voice in society, they're going to say, yeah, they make me feel good about myself. It's like a brotherhood, macho man, make money, fast cars, loads of women. I can
Yeah,
be
but
like
But
myself.
that's what the women are doing. They're running after the money, they're bigging them up, they're degrading themselves because they feel
yeah,
it's going to give them money and fame.
Mm,
They don't value themselves, they don't value their body, because they put money and fame in front of that. And that, I think, is even more sad than how those men are behaving and portraying them. Because you couldn't come and handle me like that.
Yeah, we know we know that. We know that. We know
You
that.
couldn't come and
no,
handle,
but
couldn't even step to me. Keep your money. Your money will never define me. My morals
that's
and my
true.
principles are what define me. Go and get
Yeah.
yourself some self-esteem and jog on. That's what they need to do, because they are the biggest supporters. They are the ones that are allowing them to have those millions. They are allowing themselves to be used and abused mentally and physically
It's
And
true.
financially as well.
and
Go on, Samir. What
financially.
was that?
Absolutely, more so financially.
I
It's crazy.
and financially as well, because these things aren't cheap.
Hmm.
It's true.
The
Even
guy in Miami, he said that his wife, well, all of them said it, one-sided monogamy. The minute Louis Theroux
no,
was talking to the guy, the Asian guy in Miami, his partner about getting married and stuff.
Oh, he's Myron Gaines. He's Ethiopian. He's Ethiopian.
He's Ethiopian.
Yeah, I
Okay,
used to
he's
think he's mixed race, but he's Ethiopian.
okay. Well, she wanted a family. She wanted kids. She was under the thumb, and all of a sudden, she goes on camera. She checks herself. She probably had other women who were strong enough to stand up and say, "What the heck are you doing?" Get some self-respect. And what does she then do? She leaves him because she's woken up and smelt the coffee.
It's true. What was he saying now, Samir? Because I know he was trying to interject. What was he saying?
Yeah,
You say
sorry.
she?
no, I just think that sometimes, women, they can't obviously be their own, like, in a friendship circle, women want to see the downfall of another woman. And even though, like, I'll be honest, I've not watched the Manosphere, but if that girl, if she knew what she wanted, and that was being set up for her, women can be like backstabbing. I don't want to say a rude word, but they can be backstabbing,
Yeah,
and then they can bring her down to that level, right?
yeah.
And in like we've got this like we've got this saying in Urdu, um, and to loosely translate it is like a woman can be her own enemy, basically. Um, and I've seen in so many scenarios where another woman will know that this is bad for her or good for her, but she'll make it a way that it won't happen for her, basically, because she'll keep on finding loopholes, or she'll keep on putting the woman down. And it is sad to see, because realistically we want a sisterhood, but actually sometimes the sisters don't want to
So
help each other out.
yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah, it is sad to see, but yeah, and I think the more you notice these patterns, the more you become self-aware, and then you don't obviously share everything up, but obviously when you start seeing patterns, is that when you realize that actually not everybody wants good for you. So even your closest friends, and even you do have to be wary of these things.
Oh, no, absolutely. But in the program, the men kept their main partner very close to them,
Yeah,
so they was in that bubble and away from other females. And the ones that were exposed around other females were all doing the same thing. So
I know
that's
it's
mm,
that. I know
where
it's that.
you don't get that support, or
yeah,
someone coming to you as a sister and saying, let's talk about that. They weren't
yeah,
that audience for that to happen, because the guys were very clever in keeping them, because they were just throwing money at them. Large apartments,
yeah,
Lamborghinis, the fast-paced life, beautiful clothes, watches,
yeah,
all of that stuff to
I,
keep them down.
I noticed though a lot of the women that put up with this because they said they don't have to go and do a conventional job, so the way they see it saving me time and energy, and I don't have to interact with people I don't like and have to go in this crack of dawn every morning. Especially the woman that said she used to be X-ray technician, the wife of Justin Waller, the American steel magnate
Yeah,
from
with
Louisiana.
the 2 kids.
She said, "Yeah, I got a fantastic life. You know." I said, "I don't have to get up. I remember used to have to be crack of dawn in the hospital doing the X-ray machine, taking the images. I don't have to do any of that anymore. My time is my own. I get to sit down with my
Yes,
children, not have to work."
but I guarantee you, Sean,
Mm.
He has forced that ideology, that mentality into her by showering her with gifts to allow him to have her where he wants her.
Well, that one's married, Gotti. She's married to him. That one's actually
She's
married. Mm. Mm.
married how? Just because there's a piece of paper. He's going out and sleeping with other women as he sees fit, and then he's coming home to her. That is not marriage. That's a fast.
Yeah.
Well, what about in Africa then, back home, when the chiefs have 4 or 5 wives? Or Samir, you know, in Islam, how many is it? Is it 5? Is it 5
Yeah,
You're
wives a
allowed
man can
4.
have?
You're allowed 4. You're
but
Oh,
allowed
here,
4.
4.
here's
Okay.
here's the thing. That is that culture, and
Mm.
everybody knows it's that culture, and you have a choice.
Mm.
This
Yeah.
is completely different, Sean.
Mm.
He's
Because even in Islam,
Go on,
if you
sorry.
want to have 4 wives, in Islam, if you want to have 4 wives, that's allowed. But there's certain conditions, like you have to treat them all equally.
Okay.
From like a financial point of view, from an emotional point of view.
Mhm.
So it's not like obviously for everybody, because it's obviously a hard task. And especially on the man, it's harder because he needs to ensure that he's completely fair across the board on this.
Yeah, that must be hard though, because I've never
Yeah.
seen a perfect union like that where you be able to split your time exactly the same where no one's jealous or upset. There's always some kind of deficit I've noticed with that.
Yeah, there will be. There's bound to be, there isn't there?
You see, there you go. There you
There
go.
we go.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
But
But to
the,
be fair, that one Gotti, that wife there, she knows about him. He was talking about it openly on the show, and she said, yeah, as long as he comes home to her and takes care of the kids, she basically overlooks it. The Myron Gaines one was different though. She was vicious about it.
money and the
Mm.
beautiful apartment.
Mm.
But what, as I said, we don't know is whether he was doing that before or after or both.
Yeah.
He
Mm.
got married. We don't know that. He doesn't show it.
No,
And I
no, they
have
don't. They don't show that.
feeling that he was with her, he got married to her, and then he exposed his life to her.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, he's given her all of this money.
Mm. Mm.
She's at home getting that money and looking after his 2 children.
Mm. Mm. Sure.
She ain't gonna be able to go to work and look after his 2 kids and keep a house the way he wants it
Wants to
to.
keep. Yeah, that's it. That's why
Yeah.
she's fleeing. She's compromised. She's compromised
Yeah.
herself. Mm. But remember, there's some people like that, Gotti. There's some
Well,
people like that.
clearly that was reality right there.
Mm.
Don't make it right.
Yeah, they don't.
No,
But
it
if
doesn't.
it's their relationship, so they put up with it. I always wondered if there's a women doing that because there's this thing called polyamory where there's women that do
Yeah.
that. And I've seen, to be fair, I spoke to someone last month. I tried to get them to come on an individual episode to talk
Yeah.
about it, but then she tried to con me out of money. So fine, for fine God, it was through PayPal, so I got my money back 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
She didn't turn up for the interview, but I done a couple of Instagram lives with her. Her husband was in the camera, mate, and people were mocking him, saying, "No, you're a cuck." So I said, "How is that possible when he's all right with it?" And he obviously he's doing his own thing as well, and that's growing. They got a thing, what's it called, Margie community. And they said what they do, they buy property together. I think a couple of them have got real estate investment as well. They invest in crypto. Yeah. They have like where they cook and source their own food. They got their own kind of community garden. So the way they see it's spiritual and it leads to greater group
No, it's not
economics and wealth.
spiritual, it's a business.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I couldn't believe it. When did she? Because first, obviously, I still talked to her online by herself. But when on the Instagram live, he was right there telling about his health juicing. He's about 10 years older than me, but health juicing and he's cut up in shape and everything. And he said, yeah. He said, what's that thing that you say, Sean? He said, my wife told me about it. I said, what? He said, possession is the opposite of love. I said, yeah, that's true. But I said, I know some people twist that and to bamboozle people. You see, to bamboozle people. So yeah. They said that she even used it in one of her episodes. Mm.
Good grief.
Yeah. Well, go on, Kingsley. You've been quiet. Come on, Mr. Christian.
Where do I
You
begin?
just come from church. Lay the spirit on this.
Where do I begin?
Avoid the Old Testament though, because we look like double standards.
Behave yourself, Sean.
Yeah, you need to behave yourself, fireman. But oh gosh, where do I begin? I want to say that the court of public opinion has lost its compass.
For sure.
Um, and the other thing is Louis Theroux is, as a public figure and a well-known journalist, if you will, he's in a position to play a moral arbiter. That doesn't necessarily mean that he is approaching things the from a sound point of view.
True.
He's expected to uphold a standard based on his position and the people who back him uh, corporately and otherwise. And so he's just running with something that he's given. The moment he doesn't run with it, then it would seem as though he's compromising morally, when in fact it's a lot more nuanced than that. As for the people who are the topic or the subject of his critique, um, a lot of them have the right idea when it comes to fundamentals of self-improvement, being able to stand on your own 2 feet, become a lot more sturdy, rational. But a lot of them don't have a certain sense of direction, which would allow them to go in a way where they don't take unnecessary risk. When I say unnecessary risk, um, the unf it's unfortunate that they're willing to make some form of moral compromise, because we're in a time and age where morality is, for all intents and purposes, subjective. And so people will do as they please. It's a free for all world.
Mm.
And so everybody goes, so the whole thing of the immoral cash grab. Oh, no one's watching, so you can just do whatever, even though people are watching. But the fact is that people are watching and doing nothing about it. Because if they say something, then it's like, oh, isn't this a place where you're allowed to be show freedom of expression? So who are you to critique me? So it's really it's there's it's like trying to grab on a ball, but the moment you touch the ball, you feel static of electricity. And at that moment you realize, okay, I can't pick up the ball because it's dangerous. So that's in a figurative sense, but that pretty much sums up my thoughts. For us to be at this point of time in history, really shows how poor the state of affairs are, and it's sad to see, because one of the biggest issues is and apathy and making light work of these things. And it's not until it happens close to home that we now start realizing, oh, we now start scrambling for a solution. This whole thing on the Mama's Drama podcast, shout out to them, um, where um, where they couldn't help but burst into laughter when it comes to people not dying if they're single unless it's a point of suicide. I mean, it's easy for you and me or anyone for that matter to make to really laugh about it. But when it happens to someone we consider close, then it forces us to now uh eat a piece of humble pie.
Mm.
But even then, some people would say, "Oh, it doesn't faze me because otherwise, if it phases me, then I'll be depressed for the rest of my life." So, um, there's I don't know how much consideration there is for what goes on in the outside world,
No,
but
there's none because that's why I criticized them over there. Remember, I told you I Shelly got funny with me, and then the actual Mama Drama account stopped following me. Shelly follows me personally still, but Mama Drama stopped
mm,
following me. Quite a few people, but as women, look, they were laughing about the deaths. This is unpopular opinion, but when the lady said, "Oh, well, you can't die like that. If you have money, you won't need no man," then they were laughing, but they're making jest out of suicide, basically, which I found shocking. Now, if that was a male-centric podcast, they would have been talking about cancellation, insensitive, social moron. This is what we mean about toxic masculinity. But because they said it with full chest and they were laughing in the femisphere, they never received the same critique as say someone like China would,
mm,
or
mm,
Kid and Chinks and things like this. So that's where you get the two-tier system. And obviously that's what we're trying to rebalance with Equal Start with the community work.
sure, yeah.
So Carl
What you
Jason, you're gonna sum up. You've kept quiet.
Yeah, I'm just listening to everyone's thoughts.
Uh,
I mean, when I watched the documentary, all I saw was just men that were insecure, immature, and just full of ego. So, but it's worrying as well because I've got a young son. So for me, it's like just making sure that he doesn't follow that footsteps. And that's why I make sure I have a great community of men around him, so he can actually look up to those type of people rather than watching these people online that think saying these stuff and doing this stuff is the right way to go about in life. Similar to what Kingsley said, obviously they do have some morals and some right stuff about obviously getting money and doing better for yourself, but the way they're showcasing it is not the right way. So for me, I was just dumbfounded by a documentary. But it didn't really go into like in depth about why they started doing it themselves, which
no,
I
he
thought
won't.
was a
He
bit
won't. He
shocking as
won't.
well.
He won't.
And I think
Right.
if we could understand where they got their ideas from, then we can kind of look at that route and then obviously tackle that and find out why so much young men are looking towards those type of people.
No, to be fair, I think with that, the reason why a lot of them can with that divorce rate, obviously, divorce is usually initiated by women, even though they say these made. I don't know if the statistics are true because some of the studies they're talking about are like from 30 years ago. Initially, 70% women do initiate divorce, and obviously, the rewards for doing that: alimony, child support. You usually get the property. So I can understand why some said, "Oh, well, if I'm going to put all my soul and energy into one woman, and then she turns around in my middle age and breaks me financially, and then I'm alienated from my children," can totally understand that. King David had, and so King Solomon had many wives.
We need
Yeah,
another
yeah,
session
yeah,
on
yeah.
that because
So,
I've got
so
some
I can
words
see
for
why.
you.
Yeah, it's true, but I can see why. Although some of them men do that because the way
There
society set
must
up
be
in the
a
West.
reason for the woman to divorce. The majority of them have a reason for divorce,
Yeah, of course, of
and
course.
it's not money and a house.
Yeah, of course, of
Something
course.
has driven them
Yeah,
to want the
it's true.
divorce.
It's true, Gotti. But from what I've seen, and obviously for the activism, the community work, a lot of it is that they're clueless. A lot of the men, I don't know if they communicate in the relationships, but a lot of them say they don't know what's wrong. You remember that Asian fella that I went on a couple of times with, Farouk?
When you
He's the
file for divorce, you have to give reasons. The judge will look at the reasons and
no, but
say
there's no
whether
fault
they're
with divorces
married
now,
or
Gotti.
not.
There's
What?
no fault divorces now. They're regular. Yeah, no fault divorces. So you don't
Now,
have to
if
do
you're
that.
talking about
Or
no fault
irreconcilable
divorces,
differences.
maybe.
That's
Pardon?
the biggest one, irreconcilable differences.
Okay.
So it's thing. Yeah, it's changed. It's changed. So I thought that's a bit odd. That's why I said I don't think that should be allowed irreconcilable differences or no fault divorce because
Well,
human nature is
if
fickle.
irreconcilable differences is a thing, but no fault divorce, I have an issue with.
Yeah, because it takes two to tango. You wouldn't just
You're going, Samir, go on.
you wouldn't somebody. I mean, yes, there's always two sides to a story, but they can't be. Somebody has to be at fault somewhere. There needs to be accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a
Of course.
no-fault divorce. Something must have triggered it.
Exactly. And this is the kind. But to be fair, human beings, as you know, are fickle.
Yeah,
Just think
that's
about how
true.
we have been in the panel. There's times between April and August last year, we had people coming and said, Sean, look at me, square my eyes. I'll make time, Sean. This is serious. I gotta be on there. And then 3-4 months later, oh well, things a bit changed for me, or this has gone on. So you can understand life is fluid.
Yeah.
So when people thinking, you know what, I'm unhappy for a few months now, and how long is this gonna go on for? I've sacrificed, I've done what I need to do to maintain the family, make sure we're all right, and it's still not enough. And that is a human thing. Man or woman,
Yeah.
that's a human problem I've seen. Or if it becomes monotonous, or you said, yeah, this is all my life is meant up for, and I've seen people split over that.
Where
But
do they learn it from? Is my question.
Well, Goddy, you come from an era, from my parents, sir, where I remember my dad and mum telling me about women with white livers. Have you ever thought that?
And,
Their
and
appetites.
I have had a very, very close friend,
Mm.
and that was the name they gave her.
There
I
you
had
see
to
where there you go.
research
Where there you go. Where
myself.
there you know. You know.
However,
Mm.
you still haven't answered my question.
Yeah, but she's not going to tell me where she learned it from. She just said that's what she does, and she obviously liked it. She wasn't doing it. She said
They
it was
learn
test.
it from some. Okay, let me put it like this:
Mm.
the majority of them learn it from somewhere, and they adapt the attitudes. If you can't beat them, join them. That's how it started. And then when they saw the benefit, they went buck wild.
Maybe in your experience, Scotty, but like I said, when I was at school, all the girls they were putting out
No,
before
by
me.
then,
Mm?
because by then
Mm.
they had gone buck wild.
No, but I'm not talking about 16, 17. That girl was at that time was at sixth form. But I remember year 9 at school. All the girl I liked weren't interested in me when I was like 13, 14. They
We
had
had a
man 18,
boyfriend at
19
13
older than
and
them. And so you sure use
that's
a
because they
boy.
were
that's
driving and stuff.
different.
Mm. Mm.
I said, what was you doing with girlfriend at 13 and
No, I
14?
was interested in
That's
it. I was
different.
interested. Obviously, I wasn't. My engine was stuck in neutral and revving, but it wasn't going
I'm
nowhere.
glad to
Yeah,
hear it.
but it's but obviously I still have appetite. I still obviously started to say, oh, I like this. She's nice looking. Obviously, remember you come from a generation where the people, women were old if they had children at 25, so you know this. There's no
Well,
sleeping over it. This is the reality.
when I had
Yeah, no, not
Omar,
you. You're an exception.
no, but when I had Omar, they called the midwife called me a geriatric mother.
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go.
So I
And that's in
kind
the
of give you
90s.
that one a bit.
Yeah, well, there
Yep,
you
she
go.
called
Yeah, of
me
course,
a
that's the
geriatric
reality.
mother. I was the oldest person on that maternity ward.
You're saying that? We know someone close to us that's having their and the third child at 44 as a woman. There you go. There you go. So they say this is not no new thing. This is developing more and more now.
Oh, it is. It's
And
definitely not
obviously,
new.
with the advent of feminism being more independent and empowered, more women said, "Yeah, I can delay. I'd rather have a career. I can enjoy the assortments of sweets out there. I can enjoy that,
Give.
and I don't have to hide it anymore. Where
No.
men are hunters and we like, oh, we're rewarding you with conjugals when actually I actually like the taste of these sweets, and there's
And
so many out there. The kid in the
you
sweet shop, yeah,
raise
and
quite a
that's the
valid
reality.
point
Mm.
because those women on that program, not the partners, but the other women, all those OnlyFans women and stuff, the money is great now. If they, I don't know, get a eureka moment and think, oh, actually, I'd like to settle down and have kids now, them done mash up themselves already. So they potentially may never be able to have a child.
True.
And they will regret that life that they chose because
Well,
they weren't forward thinking.
yeah, I know.
They were just living life, raking in the money, putting on the makeup, getting all of the cosmetic surgery done, and thinking that was the be all and end all of life. They did not have a goal or goals. They're living in the moments.
I'm gonna chime in there because
Go for it.
the living in the moment thing is one thing, but then you have to factor in their lack of ability to pair bond
Mm,
because of the amount of partners that they may have had.
that's the truth.
And
Previously,
so
yeah.
that plays a role in their in the kind of psychological makeup that um that they develop with as they get older, coupled with the fact that in we live in an environment where, like I said before, it's more or less a free for all, where it's a sort of dog eat dog world, especially on the corporate front. And so they're going to use the opportunity based on their worldview to grab as big a bag as they can whilst they can. But there's one big thing that I often ponder about, and that's how much, to what extent do we as as people, as human beings, take time for granted?
Yeah, we do. We do. Of course, we do.
Do.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Taking time for granted is a big thing in life. And the way how life has changed over the years, it's become a greater thing.
Mhm.
And when it manifests, it takes some of us more than others. And sometimes where we're at in life dictates how deeply it takes us or affects us.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so before you know it, the proverbial has hit the fan.
Mm,
I will say, because I know we're going to end up having to wrap up soon, is that I agree with everything you said, Kingsley, apart from the fact that, from my point of view, that they do have peers, but the peers that they choose are at the same place in life
When
as
I
them.
said
So it's
pair
not
bonding,
growing or learning.
sorry, it's not peers as in mates, pair
Okay,
bonding. So that's to do with that's to do with the kind of neurochemistry that they
okay,
cultivate during when sexual relationships are had.
okay.
So the ability to pair bond is compromised when they go beyond a certain number of partners.
Yeah,
That's what I
okay.
was referring to.
All right, got you.
mm. Yeah, of course, because they're constantly comparing, and maybe someone has more prowess than others, and they're thinking, "No, I'm not putting up with that. I want the prowess, but with the money and the handsomeness, and good genetics to pass on to my kids." So they said, "Yeah, I'm gonna upgrade," and that's what happens. Constantly upgrading. Social media. Babe, you're fat and bald. I want this model woman, small waist, broad hips, full lips, big bum, BBL. So I said, "There she look like Cardi B." Or Beyonce, no, no, no. Why am I putting up with? No, I want that. And why you keep looking at that? That's how it goes, and it's more open than ever because you can meet people from across the globe online with the
Yeah.
internet. So this is the drawback, as you said, a Babylon. So this is the drawback. Open yourself up to the global economy and the global world, all the assortments of different women and men worldwide, and you're gonna have people said, "Raw,
It's
I never had
gonna
these options
be,
before. I'd like to explore it." It's a nature. It's a natural compulsion of humans. And obviously,
yeah.
with all discipline and lack of compassion and empathy, it's a free fall.
Well, then an example of the very limit of this behavior is Bonnie Blue. Bonnie
Yep.
Blue doesn't have a certain ability to comprehend um, sentiment as far as relationships are concerned. She's beyond that threshold.
Yeah. I was amazed at what they said about her on that program.
I think she's tapped though. I think she's tapped. There's some kind of
That's
mental
I
exactly
health
think
or
what I'm saying.
personality
Yeah, she
disorder
is
there.
tapped. Yeah,
it's not
that's
humanly possible, for goodness sake.
well, it's obviously because there's a Babylon, the Babylon effect.
Yeah, of course. And we all know that from the good book, don't we? Jezebel and what was the other? What was the one that Nimrod married? Didn't Nimrod marry his mother? Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nim-
Yeah, yeah. So these things go on. Look, even the old days, Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why God had to raise it to the ground, innit, with fire and brimstone. Remember, they were trying to get after the angels, let them out so we might know them. You understand
Yeah,
me? Lot
it's
and his
mental,
crimson sins. You see?
mental.
Yeah. It's a dawn of time, but now you've got cameras and you have social media, so it makes Babylon amplify.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
yeah,
Remember me tell you.
it's approved. It has a
Mm,
seal of approval now.
mm.
It's not seen as wrong or compromised in any way.
To be fair, though, remember judgment can drive people to hide and mask, as you know, Gotti. Yeah,
Yes.
like in our community, like the gambling. Remember the bookie shop thing? And then a
Mm.
lot of the men used to be shame, and then the man and woman used to march in there, and they'd be domestic
Yes.
abuse. We are do, you are
And they
spend the mortgage money, and I'm foolish. And they
used
said
to
that's
go
because
outside and
they
send
couldn't tell them.
somebody in there for them to put the
Mm,
bet on.
exactly. So it's not always good to name and shame people because they will hide and mask, and then they're doing all types of shaggery that you don't see.
Yes.
That's what's
And then
led to.
they will never reach out for help. They'll just keep on
Yeah,
masking.
exactly. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
mm.
right. That's where we have got better as a society with that. Because I remember people said that you can't. It's like I remember a certain man said you can't say that because you like campaign as well. Remember my friend Fitz. He used to rip
Hmm.
into one of his partners about how she's cat. I said, yeah, but you liked the fact she was like that in the beginning. So why all of a sudden now
What
you're getting bright
attracted you
about
to
it?
her and now it's not good
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. And I said, and you're the biggest one for that. So how can you think, oh, it's different? I said, I know what you're saying. Men inseminate, women receive. But I said, at the same time, would you drink from a poisoned well or poisoned chalice? No. I said, well, there you go. So I
Mm.
said, obviously, this is where we're culpable, where we do wrong. So you can't be too high and mighty with it when we're campaigning, unless you're living like, like Moses or Jesus Christ himself. Can you really say anything? What it's like you said, throwing stones in glass houses. So
Mm.
it said, yeah, we got to be careful with that. Then I see all this firebrand from like those influences on inside the manosphere. But if the woman said, you know what, I'm like you like that, and I don't want no judgment, and there's like, no, you're corrupt, that's awful, that's not for you to do. Your value is in your sexuality. My value is
That's what
in
they
my
were
checkbook and my
saying.
wallet. Yeah, I know. My value is in my checkbook and wallet. So therefore, you have to listen because I have the resources and I want you to do what you're told. And I have millions of sperm and you have only one egg. This is the kind of yeah. But if you do that, certain women say, I don't care what you say. I'm like that and I want to do what I want to do. This is a new world. So I said, where does it stop? Mm. You got to practice
I
what you
was
preach.
amazed when the guy said that he knows women better than women know themselves. I fell off my chair
I
laughing.
did laugh at that. But to be fair, even though you laugh, it's true. You think that at first you say, it's absolutely foolish. But I'll give you some examples, personal examples. I chuckled at that, but I could understand what you're saying. My chiropractor, yeah,
Hmm.
asked me when I had Michael, oh, how do you know when it's time to think? I said, ovulation. She told me she didn't know what ovulation was.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I said, you're a chiropractor and a woman. She didn't know
Okay,
what ovulation was without dropping her name.
here's the
And she
thing.
was 35.
I guarantee you she's in the minority.
No,
Yeah,
why,
No,
I used to assume I was at the
I
average person.
guarantee you,
Oh,
she is in the
well,
minority.
boy, me don't know about that. I'll have to research it because there's certain things I
Go,
assumed
go,
when I was young.
go
That's not
ahead
true.
and research it.
wow.
I'd be interested to know your findings,
Mm,
but I'll stand on she's
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
minority.
of course. Yeah, I'm worldwide, of course. But I'm saying in my immediate vicinity, that's not the first time I've heard them talk. That's the thing. I was just shocked because she's a chiropractor and a health professional. That's why. Remember, when I tore my ACL, Gotti, I told the man I had a grade 3 ACL tear at my medical practice. They told me, what's grade 3? I said, what? What? You treating me?
Blood.
You saw when I had my surgery, they said, how do
Mad.
you know you have a Cyclops lesion? I said, YouTube, and my leg wouldn't straighten. And they were mocking me. When I got paid the £400 for the private scan, the man said, Raw, how did you know? I said, judging by you, I should be a honorary doctor. He's a jest. I said, and you're operating. He said,
Mental.
Jesus, change this man. Change him. Yeah, no. You'd be surprised. You're thinking,
Mental.
because your personal sphere of experience, the people you know, you're assuming too much. I remember when I worked at Family Mosaic, Gotti, and the woman said, Sean, what is this here? This word loquacious and that. I said, oh, no, it's talkative. I don't think you should write that kind of words in the complaints letters. He said, but you got to write for the average person. Then when I done journalism, they said, Sean, don't put them kind of $1 million words in there. Remember, tabloids have a reading age of 10 years old. They said, why? But this is adult population. We've got to look at the real literacy once people leave school, Sean. They decline. And a lot of people don't want to read. So that's why we write it like that. You ask any periodical, they'll tell you, write it in layman's terms.
I think.
They say plain English, or they say an idiot's guide. But that's okay. I hear what you're saying, but that's also a way of making sure that you capture the whole market, because not everybody. I mean, God gave us all different talents, right?
Exactly.
So Mary's talent may not be the same as James. When James she's very good at reading and writing. Mary may not have it, but she has something else. And so you have to write in a style that captures every part of the audience and not just some of it.
All right. I'm going to give you another revelation, then, which you're going to laugh at too.
Go on.
I've had more than one woman ask me if she can get pregnant from the other end. Not one. And not no school kid either.
You need to change the places you're walking in. That's all I've got to say on that one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you're turning right,
well, I mean, it's not one.
left.
It's not one. Yeah, but there's some men that believe that as well. I remember there was a news article where they said there was a PhD lesson, and they said they put the condominium, the Durex, on the model and thought they couldn't think. And I said, how did we get pregnant? You understand? So you say all that. There was a survey the other day on Instagram. Two of the women I know, one of them I used to go out with, she was a model. They asked her, where's your center that gives you the ultimate, pleasure? And they were going, and said, you don't know, you're a woman. Yeah, this is a fella. And he should go and look, tell me where you think it is. And it was enough. There was about 30 people that come on there, not one of them knew it was. So you'd be surprised. We live in a bubble and a sphere of we think we're the average person, and that most people will know
Maybe
this.
we're not.
And there's tons out there. There's tons. Look, I went on Mama's. You saw the episode when I went on the Mama's Drama the second time. You saw the Shelley woman was saying, Sean, you're $1 million words. I said, I don't. I said, you need to talk to my friend Kingsley. No, Sean. Some of the words you have to write a dictionary. I said, no. I'm like Mandem. She said, no, Sean. Some of the vocabulary you use, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was shocked. And so the first time I've been on Koboka, the Kid and Chinks was telling me the same thing. You're quite eloquent. The words you use.
that part I do get. I do get that part. And the road that we've walked and are walking may be different from a lot of other people, and so you don't get that level of exposure on what they've been exposed to. So you don't realize how blessed, for want of a better word, we may be because of the road that we've been able to trod.
No, a lot of them they have no interest. It's like when
I I
well, I
I
think so. Well,
I don't know what I agree with that statement and I disagree. And the reason I say that is because one of the things that really keeps us from that holds us back from that desire to read is this gravitation towards instant gratification. And so to break it down, I was watching a documentary on YouTube recently, and it basically spoke about the attention, and it compared Mr. Beast and the content that he puts out to a man who was in television in the 60s and the 70s.
hmm
And so we're in an environment where attention is attention is gold.
True.
So the moment we're captured, we're drawn into films, television, radio, podcasts, we are subject to what is spouted out. And
Absolutely.
our language is dictated by those methods of by those means, by that media or those mediums of communication or rhetoric.
No, I agree.
And so when we take that into consideration, we we see that we are really on thin ice in the sense that the ability to retain information and to have real experiences which are triggered by okay going outdoors and are it's a lot of that is no longer a thing. Everybody can get something off Spotify or through a VR device or whatever it is the case may be, and it's continuously affecting our neural makeup.
Mm.
So our ability to learn and to absorb information and not just that, retain it and apply it is really affected by our exposure to these devices.
Mm.
And so
I
when it comes to oh, knowing about basic biology and all these things, it wouldn't surprise me that a lot of people are okay. They may know these things, but they don't remember them because their
Yeah,
minds
recall. Yeah,
are
recall. Some people don't
already
recall it.
preoccupied with
That's
things
true.
to them that make them think, this information
It's
is
useless.
redundant.
Exactly. That's true. That's
And
true.
it's a dangerous position to be in this day and age
That's why you
with
refresh,
the
though, King. You
mm,
refresh yourself.
yeah, it's a very sticky situation to be in, especially with the growth of AI and
Make us more
how
dependent
it's
and lazy.
really changing our lives. We're literally entering uh, an industrial revolution, which will even have an impact on the discussions that we have as it pertains to identity politics,
Mm,
among other things.
true.
And so we have to not just take heed, but really start to not just take heed, but start taking action and being able to preserve our sense of the whatever sense of autonomy we have as far as our minds are concerned.
Which
Mm,
brings us back to Jason's point, doesn't it, around his responsibility and his focus on his child.
Hmm.
Because what is going on in the world and how it's progressing and taken away the fundamentals from us as humans creates a much larger problem for us in being able to do the best
mm,
for our loved ones.
Mm.
It's a challenge. So it's not just the peer pressure, it's things like technology.
mm, mhm.
And it gets more and more scary. I was watching something yesterday, and a solicitor was saying that his business is really doing bad at the moment. And he gave only one reason for it, and it was
Yeah.
AI.
Mm.
Remember, I used that to defend myself 2 months ago. The only thing that I needed really from legal advice was case law, examples of case law proving
Mm.
what I was asking for is not unprecedented. So, yeah, it's true. And when I see how he jubbed up the case for me and broke it down and the structure and then way there, I remember, to be fair, I only started using that, November last year. Katie said, "Oh, you're being a dinosaur again." Same thing when you want to put the banking app on your phone because you said they snoop on your money. She said, "Look, just you're taking hours, weeks to do that." I said, and then when I got a taste of it, I said, "Geez, it's that rapid." You typing these, even with the short videos on there, with the Opus AI. It used to take me months. I said, "Babe, please, Sunday, can you just chop it up, put the credits on for me?" He said, "You write out the times what you want me to cut. You have to watch it through and tell me the timestamps." It was, I was saying, "Geez, I'm never gonna go nowhere with this stuff." Then my friend said, "Sean, just use Opus. I'm telling you, use Opus AI. Stop joking." I said, "No, it's too much. £30 a month." No, no, I'm not doing that. I said, I don't want another bill. I've already paid enough bills. When they gave me the free, month, and I got, what? 50 videos for 1 hour. And it was instant. And I never remember, I'm not thing with it, the technical part of the maps. Just put in 5 prompts, and it was with title, hashtag. I said, huh? I said, what? What have I been missing? So, and this is just the beginning. Remember, I'm behind the time, let alone people like Michael. So I growing up where that was just a way of life. It's
You
not
see,
something they have
that's
to
what's scary
retraining.
to me
Yeah, it's gonna be
because
different.
I used to sit down with Omar every day with his book and his pencil and doing his homework. Isaiah is probably gonna don't want to know grandma because he's going on AI to do his homework. What is he going to actually learn?
No,
Mm.
to be fair, the academic institutions are ahead of the curve because when I went university, they had a thing called turn it in. So anything you wrote, it would flag up and said, "Yep, there's this been plagiarized."
Yeah, I know
Yeah, so
that
that was like 15, 20 years ago. Um,
That was
nah. So,
ATS.
and remember, there was no AI
what has he now
accessible
just
to the
said
normal
something?
public.
It
So
was just
now,
yeah, it was ATS.
hmm?
Oh,
ATS was basically AI back then.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Remember,
it'll flag
calculators
up
are
anything
AI.
you.
Calculators in our
Yeah.
hand, like the Casios, that was AI, but just in a micro frame. But obviously, this is an open network now, so it was only for specific functions that it would work. Now you've got things that can imitate directors, imitate project management, imitate public relations, like as your officer, answer your emails, like where they respond to you. Even a couple of times now, the drone calls, I say hello, and they're like, "Oh, how are you doing, Sean?" And then I have to wait for a few seconds to realize, right, it's just like a drone AI call because
Mm.
initially it kind of tricks me. So and remember, this is the early part of it.
yeah, I know.
So that's why you see, look at the films. You see the things we watched, all them years ago, The Matrix and Terminator.
I
That's how
did.
come.
They make
I
it.
showed Michael the other day how this robot in Japan was doing a somersault and running. You
Look,
understand? Not
you
like
know, it's
hi, my
weird
name is
because
no, it's running now. So gymnastics.
it's crazy because I think I saw a video yesterday of a robot chasing either a herd of goats or sheep,
There
I
you go.
think it was either in Wales or the States. I can't remember
Yeah,
which
there you
town it
go.
was,
There you go.
but the robot was literally
Mm.
sprinting. I thought, and then the other video where there were robots doing Shaolin Kung Fu
There you
with
go.
the monks.
Yeah,
I
there you
said
go.
to myself, okay, this is wild. But to the point of a man's business not really doing well because of AI, this is where we have a chance to really leverage AI as much as we possibly can while we still can.
Mm.
Because not long from now, some years from now, we won't have the opportunity to understand it the way we can now.
Yeah, because we'll be the first movers
Because the
early.
whole the understanding it is not so that you can improve all your personal life, but so that you can actually be able to have time for your personal life.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they will always market as. They say the productivity will increase in the economy. You'll have more time at
So
home, less time at work for monotonous tasks. But with the other
it's
side of it,
more a case of when it comes to work, use AI to help you navigate what's going on. But when it comes to real life interacting with people, then you push AI to the side as much as possible
yeah, cool. I agree.
because that's where we can be able to strike the balance.
Mm,
Work hard where it comes to things that you love. You know, and then when it comes to things outside of that, work smart,
mm,
incorporate AI. But when it comes to something that you love, woodwork or whatever, spending time with the kids, running after them. These are the things that we have to savor with the senses that we have without being in front of a screen.
that's true. I agree.
And to that, I would even say that at least once a week for 24 hours straight, we should each have just a digital fast. For one day, none of these screens or tippy tappies in our faces.
You say that, girl King. Remember, you used to cuss me. You said, "Oh,
Yeah, I used
cool,
to
what
do that
happened?
on
You haven't been on
Sundays.
your phone." Oh, sorry, go on, cuz.
Yeah.
You used
I
to cuss me
used to,
about that. Mm,
but I've come to realize that even for me,
mm,
I need to kind of like have more break from these kind of
mm,
things because it just it sucks you in and it detaches you from the ability to engage in the real world.
of course,
And
definitely.
this is what's fueling the fire of Louis
Yeah,
Theroux's
yeah, and the division between men and women. Yeah, of course.
because the whole premise of being an incel or being a femcel is you're glued to your screen.
Mm,
You don't want to leave your house. You can't be bothered. You don't see the incentive of doing that because you're glued to your screen.
mm,
That's the only way you communicate with people
mm.
or choose to communicate with people. And
Yeah,
at that
cool.
point, you isolate yourself. You put yourself in a box, in a Pandora's box, in a manner of speaking,
Mm, mm.
because then you entertain a certain level of chaos which you will not have any real control over. And this is how people spiral into they will spiral as far as being able to have some grasp over their mental health is concerned.
Mm, okay,
Because then when it comes to the reality check, they're not able to engage.
true.
So I think that like the 24 hours, or even my brother said to me, do you know what? It's not a bad idea. I'm trying to actually stay away from the my phone screen as much as possible outside of work. And so at that point, I understood why I hadn't been able to hear from him for a while. So I said, you know what? That's actually a good thing. At
Mm.
least you're allowing your soul to breathe.
Yeah, you do, you do. Yeah, man, there's a lot of health issues with that. The blue light disturbs your sleep pattern, affects your
Yeah.
concentration. Obviously, the dopamine hits, so you end up doom scrolling. Because I've been there
Mhm.
when I've been like, especially when the algorithm starts picking up the things I like, football.
Oh
Good
yeah,
goal.
and then it really gets ripple. Yeah,
Interpersonal relationships, how to teach your kids, and then it's one after the other, like, huh? Next thing I know, right, it's 2 hours. Yeah, it's
yeah.
done,
You
it's
realize
done.
the time's just literally just slipped. Yeah,
Like asleep. Well, I'm going somewhere, and I said, oh, well, I'm going to bed 2, 3 o'clock. I got to get up. Yeah, like 6, 7 o'clock. Yeah, yeah. So what about people that have less, willpower to avoid that? So you know what? They
imagine.
get sucked into the rabbit hole, or the black hole.
Big time.
So yeah, it's true.
Mm,
So anyone like to sum up, cuz, godmother?
Well, all I would say is I need the women out there to get some self-esteem, put their big girl pants on, and respect themselves. And for me, I'm done right there.
And Jason, you was coming with your patriarchal, we must be more disciplined men and no womanizing. So what can you say to the benefit
I
of
don't do
the
that. Don't do
audience? Benefit the audience,
that.
yeah? Benefit audience of behaving, being disciplined.
But yeah, I think that's the best way. I don't
Amen.
see any other way. I don't see any other way.
I'm sending you your flowers, Jason.
All right. And that's it for today, people. Where there are people, there is power. Justice in our time.